Okay? So, I've been sitting on this for a while, and I need to get it out. This is going to be long, and I'm not great at organizing my thoughts, so bear with me. I'm 24 now, but this all started when I was 17, and it's been a wild ride since. I don't know if I'm looking for advice, validation, or just to scream into the void, but here's my story. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind where everybody knows everybody, and the biggest event of the year is the county fair. My mom was a single parent. My dad bailed when I was a toddler, and I don't even have a clear memory of him. It was just me, Mom, and my younger sister Lily, who's 3 years younger. Mom worked 2 jobs, a waitress at a diner and a cashier at the local Walmart, to keep us afloat. She was always tired, always stressed, and I get it. Raising 2 kids alone in a town with no opportunities isn't exactly a picnic. But man, she had a temper. I wasn't an easy kid. I'll own that. I was a C student, barely scraping by in high school, more interested in video games and sneaking beers with my buddies than doing homework. I wasn't a delinquent or anything, but I was lazy, mouthy, and had a knack for pushing Mom's buttons. Lily, on the other hand, was the golden child, straight A's, volleyball team, always helping around the house. I didn't resent her for it, but it made me feel like the screw-up by comparison. The night it all went down was in October of my senior year. I'd just gotten a D on a math test, and my teacher called home to say I was at risk of failing the class. Mom was already in a mood. Her car had broken down that week, and the repair bill was more than she could afford. I came home from hanging out with my friend Jake, probably smelling like the one beer I'd chugged, and she was waiting for me in the kitchen, holding the phone slip from the school. It started as a lecture. "You're throwing your life away, Ethan," she said, her voice sharp but controlled. I rolled my eyes. Big mistake. That set her off. She started yelling about how she was killing herself to provide for us, how I was ungrateful, how I'd never amount to anything. I don't know why, but I decided to talk back that night. I said something dumb like, maybe if you weren't such a nag, I'd actually want to come home. Yeah, not my finest moment. That's when she lost it. She screamed, "You're a fucking failure who should have never been born." Her face was red, her hands shaking, and I just stood there, stunned. I'd heard her call me a disappointment before, but this was different. It felt like she meant it, like she wished I didn't exist. Before I could say anything, she pointed at the door and said, "Pack a bag. You're going to your grandparents tomorrow. I can't deal with you anymore." I didn't argue. I went to my room, threw some clothes in a duffel bag, and sat on my bed, staring at the wall. Lily came in, teary-eyed, and asked what was happening. I told her I didn't know, but I'd be okay. I wasn't sure I believed it. The next morning, Mom drove me 3 hours to my grandparents' house in rural Indiana. Barely a word was said the whole ride. She didn't apologize, didn't explain, just dropped me off with a curt, "Behave yourself," and left. My grandparents, Nana and Pop, were waiting on their porch. They're in their late 60s, the kind of people who've been married 40 years and still hold hands. Nana hugged me tight, and Pop just patted my shoulder and said, "Let's get you settled, kid." Their house was old, creaky, and smelled like mothballs and coffee. They had a big farm, not the kind that makes money anymore, but the kind with a few chickens, a vegetable garden, and a barn full of rusty tools. I'd visited before, but living there was different. No Wi-Fi, no cell service half the time, and the nearest town was a 20-minute drive. I felt like I'd been exiled to the middle of nowhere. The first week was rough. I was pissed at Mom, at myself, at the world. I barely talked, just played games on my phone until the battery died, then sulked in my room. Nana tried to get me to open up, but I wasn't having it. Pop, though, he didn't push. He'd just say, "Want to help with the chickens?" Or, "Come hold the ladder while I fix the fence." I'd grumble but go along, mostly because I was bored out of my mind. Slowly, though, things started to shift. Pop had this way of teaching without preaching. He'd show me how to fix a tractor engine or plant tomatoes, and he'd tell stories about growing up on the farm, about screwing up as a kid, about how he almost lost Nana because he was too stubborn to apologize once. He never judged me, never made me feel like I was less than. Nana was the same. She'd bake these god-awful oatmeal cookies and talk about Mom when she was my age, how she was a rebel who snuck out to see bands and got caught stealing lipstick from the drugstore. One night, maybe a month in, we were sitting on the porch after dinner, and Pop asked me what I wanted to do with my life. I shrugged and said, "I don't know, probably nothing. I'm not good at anything." He looked at me, not mad, just thoughtful, and said, "You don't gotta be good at something to start. You just gotta show up and try. The rest comes later." It sounds cheesy now, but at the time, it hit me hard. Nobody had ever told me it was okay to not have it all figured out. I ended up finishing high school online through a program Nana found. It wasn't easy. Math still sucked. But Pop would sit with me at the kitchen table, helping me figure out algebra like it was a puzzle, not a punishment. I graduated, barely, but I did it. After that, I started working odd jobs around town, mowing lawns, helping at the hardware store, even fixing fences for neighbors. I wasn't great at it, but I showed up, like Pop said. Living with my grandparents gave me space to breathe. Mom's house always felt like a pressure cooker, like I was one wrong move from an explosion. Nana and Pop's place was different. They didn't expect me to be perfect. They just expected me to try. And for the first time, I started to see myself as more than the screw-up kid who disappointed everyone. About a year after I moved, Mom called. I hadn't heard from her in months, just a few texts here and there. She sounded tired, softer than usual. She said she was sorry for what she said, that she didn't mean it, that she was just overwhelmed. I wanted to be mad, to yell at her, but I just said, "Okay." We didn't talk much after that, but it was a start. I stayed with Nana and Pop for 3 years. In that time, I got my GED, started taking community college classes, and got a job at an auto shop, learning to fix cars. I'm not going to lie and say I'm some success story. I'm still figuring it out. I'm in my second year of college now, studying automotive technology, and I'm pretty good at it. I moved back to Ohio last year, got my own apartment, and I see Mom and Lily sometimes. Things with Mom are complicated. She's trying, and so am I. We don't talk about that night, but it's always there, like a bruise that's mostly healed but still tender if you press it. Looking back, getting sent to my grandparents was the best thing that could have happened. It wasn't a fairy tale. I was lonely, angry, and scared a lot of the time. But I learned I wasn't a failure, just a kid who needed a chance to figure out who he was. Nana and Pop gave me that. They didn't fix me. They just showed me I was worth fixing. I don't know if anyone's going to read this whole thing, but if you did, thanks. I guess I just needed to say it out loud, you know? If you've got a story like this, or if you're stuck in a bad spot, I'd love to hear it. Maybe we can figure out this whole life thing together. TLDR. Mom called me a failure and sent me to live with my grandparents. It sucked at first, but they helped me turn things around. Now I'm in college, working, and trying to rebuild things with Mom. Life's messy, but I'm still here.